So this is the workshop for energy in ecosystems. These are going to be quick notes, so I suggest getting some paper, pencil, and maybe even a highlighter so that you can follow along with me and highlight some key terms if you need to. So we're going to go objective by objective here. The first objective is photosynthesis. So photosynthesis is a process by which producers make their own food using sunlight, water, and carbon dioxide. Now, when we're talking about producers, we're talking about plants. So trees, grass, flowers, all go through photosynthesis. Um, Producers are also usually the base of our food webs. So they're going to be at the bottom, and they are the organisms that are transforming the light energy from the sun and turning it into chemical energy that can be transferred through the entire food web. Okay. The way that they do this is with chlorophyll in the leaves, and that's what traps the sun's energy and allows the plant to transform that into chemical energy that we can use. So, a couple things go into it. The first thing that we need, that plants need in order to go through photosynthesis, is sunlight or radiant energy or light energy, carbon dioxide, which we breathe out, and water. So they take those three things and it goes through a chemical reaction, and what comes out and what they produce is oxygen that we breathe in and glucose, which is sugar. Okay. So what goes into it? Sunlight, carbon dioxide, and water. What comes out of it? Oxygen and sugar. If you need to, go ahead and pause the video right now so that you can catch up with the notes. Okay, so it's time for objective 2, food webs. Now, food webs show relationships or eating relationships in an ecosystem. So, a big thing about food webs is to remember who's getting the arrow or where the arrow points, because that's important. The arrow points to who's getting the energy or who's doing the consuming or the eating. Okay, so producer consumer, we have a plant and maybe an animal. We might have a grass and rabbit. We have the rabbit consuming the grass, so the arrow points towards the consumer. So keep that in mind here. Okay. With a predator-prey relationship, the prey gives energy to the predator, or the predator is consuming the prey. In a host-parasite relationship, the host is giving energy to the parasite, so the parasite is the one eating. The primary consumer gives energy to the secondary consumer, so the secondary consumer is who's eating or consuming. And the secondary consumer gives energy to the tertiary consumer, so the tertiary consumer is the one that's eating. Okay, now we're going to look at all of these examples in an example food web. It's pretty basic. So we always have to start with producers. Okay, and in this food web, we have the grass giving energy to the rabbit. So the rabbit is consuming the grass. We also have a mouse consuming the grass, and we also have a grasshopper consuming the grass. Now, all of these would be my primary consumers. I also want you to notice something about the producers. The way I can always tell where a producer is on a food web is that all the arrows are going away from the producer, and they don't have any arrows going towards them, because they're the ones that are taking that energy from the sun and changing it. They're not getting energy from any other organism. So let's keep moving on. So next we have a fox that is consuming the rabbit, which would make it a secondary consumer. The fox also consumes the mouse. So these are its two food sources. Okay, we also have another secondary consumer. The snake is consuming the mouse. And then we have the owl that consumes the snake, which makes it a tertiary consumer, because we have a consumer consuming a secondary consumer. Now, let's talk about parasite-host relationships. In this case, the flea is getting energy from the fox. Now, a flea is very small, and it's taking blood from the fox, but it's getting energy from it. So in this case, this would be a parasite-host relationship, where the flea is the parasite and the fox is the host. Okay. Now, another relationship that we need to talk about is competition. So here we have the fox and the snake, and they have arrows coming from the same organism. That means that they compete for that particular food source. So in this case, the snake and the fox compete for the mouse. Okay. Also, to see a predator-prey relationship in a food web, here whenever I have two consumers, the one that's giving the energy is the prey, and the one that's consuming or getting the energy is the predator. So the predator gets energy from the prey. There's a lot more predator-prey relationships in this food web. That's not the only one, but just keep in mind predator-prey is any two consumers, where one consumer is consuming another. Okay, so this would be a good time to pause the video so that you can catch up if you need to. Our next objective is energy pyramids. And an energy pyramid is a model that shows the flow of energy from one trophic or feeding level to the next in an ecosystem. The model is a diagram that compares the energy used by organisms at each trophic level. Okay. Some of the things we need to keep in mind is that only 10% of the energy moves from one level to the next, and most of that energy is lost in the form of heat. So what we always start with in a energy pyramid is the base level, the first level, and these are our producers, and their energy comes from the sun. Our second level is our primary consumers. Their energy comes from the producers. Our third level is the secondary consumers, and it gets its energy from primary consumers. And our fourth level is the tertiary consumers, and they get their energy from the secondary consumers. Remembering that at each level, the organisms in that level get their energy from the level below. Now, remember what I said, that only 10% of the energy moves from one level to the next. Okay? So, if we start with 7,000, our next level, they are getting 700. At the next level, they're getting 70. And at the next level, they're getting 7. Okay? So, an easy way to remember that is just as you move up, you simply move the decimal over once as you move up, or you can just take off a 0. And so just simply move it over, and that's 10% as you go up. So hopefully we're not getting too confused with that math. But that is it for your notes on energy in ecosystems. This would be a good time to pause and copy down the notes if you did not catch up. Hopefully after you're done with these notes, you can pass this focus area. Bye.